Hey, beautiful people. It's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Today is another great day to be alive, to be thankful, to be joyous, just to be who you are, to be in the moment. But I wanted to have a conversation and talk about transition because it's been on my mind most of the morning. What do I want to say about transition? I think that many of us have gone through different transitions in our life. Some transitions were very necessary. Some transitions were maybe unnecessary. But either way, I feel like when we think about transitions, it's that period or moment in our lives between 2 points. So usually we're going from one situation or circumstance or place to another. So if, for example, if you're changing jobs, you've got a new job, there's a transition period. So you're leaving the old, going into the new. And anytime we go through transitions, there's always work to be done. There's always things that we have to consider. And we have to, I guess, to a certain degree, if we're going into, let's say, a new job and it's a new environment, we have to adapt. So adaptability is important. Our ability to be flexible in this new environment because it may be different from what we're used to. That's really important. You're gonna have to learn new skills when you're transitioning into a new position. And I'm just using a job as an example. What else? You're meeting new people. And I think it's also a time to reflect on yourself and who you are, who you were before and what you did, let's just say, in the old job, and who you are now, and how does your previous experiences, okay, your previous knowledge, your previous skills translate into your period of transition into something new. So how are we going to use our prior knowledge, our prior skills and expertise in our new setting, in our new position? So I think using that example of transitioning from one job to another and considering all those things that I just said, we can apply that to our lives in any circumstance. And so I feel like if we're always transitioning, and again, transitions aren't bad, but if we always find ourselves in a position of transitioning, I think that we have to be reflective and kind of just pay attention to like what's going on. Why are we always in transition? And sometimes it's just life, because life happens, things come up. And so life requires us to make pivots, sometimes very frequently, for some of us more frequent than we would like. But why am I always in transition? And I think the important thing is transitions are usually an opportunity for us to start over and start something new, especially as it relates to our personal life and who we are. So if we're in a position of transitioning, let's just say from the old to the new, we have to think about if there's anything that we need to change about ourselves, especially if it's circumstantial, right? So if you were in like a bad situation, okay, and you've had an opportunity to transition, to start over, to do something new, like you have to come up with a plan, okay? Because things usually don't get better on their own, like by themselves. Like we have to come up with a plan, and we have to implement the plan, and we have to sometimes work the plan, and we rework the plan, evaluate the plan, reevaluate the plan, make tweaks, and adjustments. But things don't just get better like by themselves. We have to do the work. So when we talk about transitional periods in our lives, God gives us like so many opportunities to start over and to get things right. And so if things are showing up in our lives like repeatedly, like over and over and over, we're repeating the same patterns, then we have to stop and ask ourselves some questions like, why do I keep going through the same thing over and over? Okay. And 9 times out of 10, most of it has to do with ourselves, because you're only gonna repeat the things that you don't get. So if you find yourself in hard situations, I would say, yes, give yourself grace, make a plan, but then evaluate, like, and ask yourself, why do I keep finding myself in this situation? And you have to be honest with yourself. Okay, this is part of self-care and self-love. It's being honest with yourself and answering the questions honestly. And then once you get that answer, it's like, okay, now what are you gonna do to change it so you don't keep repeating the same cycles and patterns over and over? And so I've been through several transitions in my life, and some good, some not so good. And so I got to a point where, I was going through some things, and I just basically said, you know what? Enough is enough. Like, I don't want to keep going through constant chaos and stress and drama and being sad and just not living my best life. And so I had to be first honest with myself and what my heart was telling me to do. And so this was, probably way back in like 2014, when I really started just sitting with myself and paying attention to my cycles, to my patterns, and my feelings and how I was feeling about myself, about my situation, about my life, about my career, everything. And so finally, I would say 4 years after that, in 2018, I just told myself that I have to start trusting God. That's number one. But in order to trust God, I felt like I needed to trust myself, because God is on the inside of me. And there seemed to have been like a disconnect. So I was paying attention to how I felt in certain circumstances and situations, and I didn't like it. And I had to be honest with myself, regardless to what the situation was. And really, that's how I ended up moving to Alabama, is because I wasn't satisfied with the things that I was experiencing and going through. And a lot of it was the choices I had made based on like certain mindsets and beliefs that will come up in a different like conversation. But I had to be honest with myself and say, like, this is not working for me. The things that I'm experiencing and how I feel is not consistent to who I am, to who I know that I am as a person on the inside of me. And I have to do something about it. And so, is moving from one state to another always the answer? No, because at the end of the day, the change really has to take place on the inside of us. So we can move from one geographical location to another. We can move from one house to another. But if we're still the same on the inside, you're really not going to get much change. And sometimes when we are physically changing our locations and different things about us, it's almost kind of like symbolism, but there's still some work that you have to do on the inside to see the true change show up in your life. So, how is all of this going to come together? I just feel like if you're in a position or a season of transition, it's not a bad thing. It's not the end of the world. But I think for all of us, in any state or space of transitioning from the old to new, from good to bad, and even if it's not a negative situation, from good to good, there's always still some type of adjustments we have to make, some type of evaluations and new adaptability and reflection that we have to do. And so I've always been a reflective person, just reflecting on myself, my situation, my children, my life, just everything. It's just, I'm a deep thinker. It's just who I am. And I feel like if we want to show up for ourselves and really show up in the world, we have to start being like more reflective and becoming more of an observer of ourselves and the environment that we live in and our relation to ourselves and to the environment and our relation to other people. We just have to start really paying attention. And I feel like that's when I started making, I would say, the greatest amount of change in my life is when I became more conscious of my life, more conscious of how I was living, more conscious of the decisions I was making, more conscious of the thoughts I was thinking that really translated into my habits and my behaviors and my lifestyle and my decisions and choices. And so I just want to encourage you that change, I feel like change is always good because it forces us, if we allow it, it forces us to grow if you accept the position of growing. But if you don't, then you won't grow. You just stay the same, or you stay stuck, or you stay stagnant. But change forces us to grow, and growth is always good. And so in terms of the Bible, it says that we go from glory to glory to glory, or faith to faith to faith. We just keep growing. And so growth is not easy, but it's possible. And while it may be hard and difficult, I feel like it's so worth it. And there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So if you're in like a really hard and dark place right now, it's always darkest before the dawn, and then comes the daylight. Just remember that. And in your dark moments, those are the moments where, one, you really get an opportunity to go within. You really get an opportunity to connect with the Holy Spirit, with God, on a deeper level. And that's when the lessons are really evaluated and learned. And so I would say, while dark moments may be difficult, I'm telling you because I've been through many dark moments, and hindsight is always 20/20. I would say take it as an opportunity to grow, and know that even though it's hard, it's still good for you. So if you can grasp the concept about being excited about our dark moment, which is really hard to grasp, but look at it in the sense of God knows what I'm going through, God sees my situation, and God always wants the best for me. And so these things that are showing up in my life, one, could be a result of the choices and decisions I've made, but they've been allowed to happen and take place for the evolution of who I am. And so if you can view your situation from that perspective, I think it'll make it a little bit easier. But sometimes when you're going through hard moments, nothing makes it easy. You just have to have faith. You have to have grit and determination and keep your hope that it's not going to always be like this. And you have to tell yourself that it's not going to always be like this. And you have to, I would say, physically say to yourself, if you want things to be better, you have to say, I want my life to be better, and it is going to be better. Okay. And so you keep speaking that. And at the same time, you take the steps to make your life better. Okay. But you can't get better if you keep doing the same thing. If your life is chaotic, it means that you're chaotic on the inside. I'm sorry, that's not an easy thing to accept about ourselves. But when chaos is showing up in our lives, it's because we're chaotic on the inside. And that's the energy that we're emitting. Okay. And so it's not, I wouldn't be shameful about it, because we all go through that. There is not one person on this planet that has not experienced chaotic energy within them. If somebody tells you they haven't, I would say I find that hard to believe, because every person goes through a growth period. It's why we're here on this planet. This is Earth School. So trust the process, okay? And let's see what the beauty lesson has to say. What advice we can get from our beauty lesson, excuse me. So today's the 28th, so we're just gonna go to beauty lesson 28 in the Beauty Beyond the Brush, okay? And the beauty lesson 28 is trust the process, okay? So it says, my steps are ordered. Every encounter I experience, whether with myself or with others, is divinely orchestrated for the evolution of my soul and my life progression. Obstacles that challenge my thinking can also be viewed as opportunities to face my fears. I know that God will always have my back. Therefore, when I trust God and lean into His love, He totally supports me. I am sure to receive all that I need and desire, and I will definitely experience the manifestation of everything I expect to see happen and more. And that's what you have to tell yourself. Opportunities show up, or challenges show up as opportunities for us to evolve. That's what I just said. And so know that God has your back. And even though we go through dark periods, it doesn't mean that God has forsaken us. It may feel like it. Oh, don't I know? It may feel like it, but that's not the case. That's not the case. And we have so much help. I believe when we go through our dark moments, our host of heavenly help, our angels, our ancestors, the Holy Spirit, like, they're rooting for us. Like you can do it. You can do it. Keep going. Keep going. I know it's hard, but it's going to be so much better for you if you just grow through this moment. Just grow through it, live through it, grow through it. Don't throw in the towel. Don't give up. Keep your faith. I believe that's what they're doing. And so that we have to keep going, okay? While trusting the process, I must also do the work that's required. I can be certain that God is supporting my success as I do what is necessary to combine action with my faith. So I believe, this is my saying, knowledge plus action leads to transformation. So when we learn that, okay, maybe the things that I've been doing is the reason why I'm in the situation that I'm in. I don't know. Maybe it's my mindset. Maybe it's my environment. Or maybe it's just time for me to grow up, okay, and do something different. So when you know a thing and then you realize, okay, I have to do something different, then you start developing an action plan and you put those two together and you hold on to your faith, you get transformation. You become transformed on the inside in your mind. So the scripture even says, excuse me, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So you have to start thinking different. If you want life to look different, if you want life to look different for you, and you want your situations, and this is for all of us, so I can say we, if we want our situations to change, we have to renew our minds. We have to. Okay? So I'm rooting for you. I encourage you. I admonish you with lots of love. And you just be courageous. Be so courageous and be so determined not to give up. God has blessed you with a beautiful and glorious life for you to live it to the best of your ability, to your highest potential. And God can make all things new. God can make all things new. He can take your ashes and turn them into beauty. He'll trade ashes for beauty. I promise you. I promise you. Okay. So if you have a question, if you need advice, if you want me to pray for you or just anything, don't ever hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section, or you can reach out to me. You can send me a message. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook at Love Life Naturals. That's my Instagram handle. And my Facebook is the same, Love Life Naturals. Or you can go to my website, lovelifenaturals.com, and send me a message that way. But I truly feel like it's almost impossible to inherently love life without loving yourself. I think it's impossible. So how do we begin to enjoy life and just love the life that we've been blessed with? It starts with us. It starts within. Okay. So own your transition, own your challenges, own your life, so you can start living your best life. All right. Talk to you later.